Hey there, hi there, ho there, it's Wispipedia. So we are ramping up to Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. Capcom showed off some awesome new stuff recently, and they've been sharing even more on Twitter. Definitely give them a follow there to stay up to date on the news for Sunbreak. There's some really cool stuff that was announced, like Nergigante coming back to the game. I'm stoked to get his armor and weapons, and experience that fight again. Anyway, the May digital event got me thinking about what Elder Dragons I hope come back for Sunbreak. And like I did previously on the channel, I'm going to suggest some mythological creatures these elders could represent. If you like this video, I guess you could hit those like and subscribe buttons, because that would make you really cool. By the way, a couple choices on this list are stretches, and I get that, but we're just trying to have fun here, okay? I just want some of these back because they're cool. Cool? Cool. Alright, let's get started. Dalamader is a big ol' snake boy from Monster Hunter 4. You unfortunately can't fight it in Generations Ultimate, so unless you still have your 3DS, you're a little out of luck when it comes to fighting. Honestly, that's a large part of why I hope it's in Sunbreak as a secret boss or something. Maybe as a title update monster, as I'm sure the new final boss for the Sunbreak storyline will likely be a new Elder Dragon. That said, it is one of the biggest monsters in the series, and I actually hadn't had a chance to fight it. I bounced off of 4 and 4U before I got to the endgame, and never caught up to my friends who got me into the series. Since it isn't in Generations or Generations Ultimate, I actually haven't had a chance to fight it at all, which is why you're currently seeing some regular old Rise footage. I'm really hoping that the team brings some monsters into Sunbreak that aren't currently accessible in other current generation games. I hope they bring back Elder Dragons that aren't Kieran, basically. I just want a chance to fight it, and who knows, the new Citadel map could feature a gigantic ruined tower that Dalamader could call home. So what about its mythological counterpart? It's no stretch to say that this thing could be a Leviathan. A Leviathan is a gigantic snake-like monster. Only problem is that Leviathans are usually depicted as being from the ocean. Yeah, they're typically known as sea serpents. But it's the size that makes me think of a Leviathan, to be honest. You could simply call it a worm, but I don't think that name does justice to the overall chonk of Dalamader. Either way, I want to fight it, especially with the new movement available to us in Rise. I would be super interested to see what they could do with that fight. Okay, so Nakarkos is a skeletal dragon with 2 heads. Well, I mean, the heads are really the arms. It's a big mollusk, actually. But the idea of a Hydra, and if you've seen any early Marvel films, you know this, is that if you destroy one head, 2 will take its place. Yeah, so Nakarkos was a cool fight, but it was kind of underwhelming in my opinion. It was the big bad in Generations, or at least one of them. It was a different Elder Dragon, and pretty interesting. But it was a siege monster that wasn't extremely difficult to fight, so I think an updated version of the fight could do this thing a little more justice. It definitely resembles a Hydra since it has the multiple arms. It actually really makes me think of the Bone Hydra in Hades. I'd be pretty surprised if Supergiant didn't take some kind of inspiration from Nakarkos. It would be a really cool fight to see redone. I like the monster and would be really interested to see some of its equipment return. It had some really cool looking armor, and that would be pretty sweet to see in the game. Okay, yes, I just want the Magalas to return, obviously. I love Shigaru and Gore. 4 and 4U were the games that really got me into Monster Hunter before I really did a deep dive into Generations. I loved fighting these two, and Shigaru Magalas armor in 4U or GU is just so good. I really hope that it makes it into Sunbreak in some way, even as a title update. Just imagine seeing a turf war between Shigaru Magala and Valstrax. That would be so cool. Anyway, Shigaru Magala was introduced in Monster Hunter 4 as the molted and mature version of Gore Magala. And having one in Sunbreak probably means both would be in it, and Capcom knows we want this thing back, they know. I just think these two are neat. I hope they return, and I hope to see some really interesting updated fight mechanics. It seems like the effect they mentioned with Malzeno will be similar to how the Frenzy Virus mechanic worked for the Magalas, so here's hoping that's like a hint for that. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Gore and Shigaru Magala expel a virus that can inflict a blight on the player. If you deal enough damage to the monster in a set amount of time, your offensive stats get a boost. However, if you don't deal enough damage, you will receive a penalty to your health bar. Nullberries can extend the timer and lessen the effects of the penalty. It was a fun mechanic. It would be really cool to see the Magalas return. Yeah, I'd be happy. As for its mythological counterpart, I picked the biblically accurate angel because Shigaru Magala is known by its other name, the Heavenly Wheel. It's a monster that has a lot of divine imagery, so the angel fits its description pretty well. However, angels are typically described across different texts as being terrifying creatures. This thing is pretty scary, so it works, I guess. Alright, here's another one that I just think is neat. Nergigante is an elder dragon that was introduced in Monster Hunter World. He's a spiky boy, and it eats other elder dragons. It's really fun to fight and has a really great musical theme. It's a cool design, and it would be awesome to see how Capcom would design the fight around the Wirebug skills. It's already fast-paced, so I could only imagine how much they would amp up the speed in Sunbreak. It would be really fun to fight with Wirebug skills, and it has some great gear. I would love to see it return in Sunbreak and to see how they'd tweak its armor and weapons, plus it's in World, so it probably wouldn't require as much dev time as some of the other older elders. Not that I know anything about that, because I don't, but either way, it'd be really fun to have back. As for its mythological counterpart, it fits well with the description of Nergal, the Mesopotamian god of the underworld. This is a god that was also associated with war, death, and disease. It's also where Nergigante got its English name. So yeah, it's perfect. Nergigante certainly brings destruction and war to other elder dragons, especially in that final fight scene against Shar Ishvalda in Iceborne. Just seriously, Nergigante rules. Yeah, this one just kind of fits to me. Valhazok is another elder dragon that was introduced in Monster Hunter World. It was an elder dragon that inhabited the Rotten Vale and used the vapor of the Vale in its attacks. As such, it could inflict a blight that cut the player's health bar significantly. I liked fighting Valhazok, and it would be really interesting to see how the fight would react with wirebugs and the movement available in Rise. I would hope to see a lot of updated weapons though, as those offerings did leave a lot to be desired. It'd be neat to see some weapons that could inflict that blight on other monsters, or a slightly different kind of poison or something, I don't know. Anyway, I like its armor, and I think it'd be really interesting to see it in the game. Really, I just think the idea of fighting a zombie works perfectly with the current motifs of Malzeno and Lunagaron and Lugaron Golem. It's another classic horror movie monster, and I think it'd fit in really well. Alright, so those are the 5 Elder Dragons I hope we see return in Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. Let me know who you hope comes back in the comments. I know I'm excited to see what else Capcom will announce throughout the coming weeks, and I'm really looking forward to that release date on June 30th. Hey, thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. My name's Wispapedia, but you can call me Wisp. Do the usual YouTube things, like and sub, and follow me on the socials linked below. You can catch me streaming on Twitch as well. If you're looking forward to Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak and want some folks to play with, consider joining the Dojo Brand Discord. Dojo is a community full of awesome people that play a bunch of different games together. I love it there, and I think you will too. Thanks again for watching. Make sure you drink your water, eat good food, and get some rest. And I'll catch you next time.